In today's episode, yes, I accept the risk, just do it. I'm working on it. Impeccable training. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Yes, I accept the risk, just do it. This might not be the right place to post, but I think it might be educational for junior devs and admins. I was an infrastructure engineer with a bunch of different hats, one of which was FTP administrator. Business groups would submit requests to set up FTP interfaces between my company and other external companies for exchanging files securely. Usually it was because security caught business users sending sensitive files unencrypted over email. One morning I check my inbox and find a request to set up an interface with a company whose name looks vaguely familiar. It's a company that verifies credit cards or details or something. Really doesn't make any difference to me, but I'm trying to figure out where I've heard the name before. Then I realized this company was being referenced in articles implying the books are not quite right. So, ever diligent, I alert the requester to these articles, ask them if they want to do some due diligence of their own before they plow ahead with their very expensive project. I'm told it's none of my business, I'm just an infrastructure engineer, we are the brilliant minds in charge of partnering and so on. But it just doesn't sit right with me. So I progress with the project as requested and send some quiet emails to people I know who work in risk and fraud within the company, ask them if they are aware, and how comfortable they are with it. Turns out, no, they know nothing about the project, and they are not at all comfortable being in partnership with this particular company. They ask questions, hold meetings, and get the same response as I did, only maybe more hostile. We are ready to move into production, but I won't budge. Eventually we kick it upstairs. If the CFO will sign off as accepting the risk, I'll implement. He does, immediately. That was easy, they think. The next week, the external company stops replying to emails. Files are going out, but nothing is coming back. Literally within a week, the news breaks that the external company we have a partnership with has been committing fraud. We have to disable the process, investigate any data we sent, look for alternative partners, and then start all over again with the new credit card agencies. Lesson 1. If someone answers your questions aggressively, they are probably hiding something. Lesson 2. If someone is hiding something, get someone in the company higher than both of you to accept responsibility. Enron of Germany Wirecard scandal. I'm working on it. Last week my whole team had a busy week as we were making preparations to move one of our branches to a new location. The rest of my team had left first thing in the morning to go be on site at the new location, about a 40-minute drive from our home office. I get a call that a critical piece of equipment at a location about 10 minutes from my office will not connect to the network. 2 people have tried to walk them through some troubleshooting steps over the phone, but it was still not connecting. I grab some supplies and I drive over to see what is going on. The specific instructions they had received were to make sure that the black box under the desk labeled X was turned on. They said it was turned on, but it kept turning itself back off. I look under the desk and find that there are 2 black boxes. One is labeled X and the other is labeled APC. The staff kept pushing the power button on the APC unit, which would turn on the display and proudly show that it was working as expected, and then after a few seconds it would turn the display back off. I flipped the switch on the other box labeled X. The green light glows brightly to indicate it is now powered on, and the device it connects to is now able to talk to the rest of our network. I drive back to the home office where I am made aware of an issue with a critical server. The issue seems to indicate that the C drive had run out of space, but all diagnostics tests indicate that that was not the case. I place a couple support tickets to some vendors to request assistance in case any of them have encountered this issue before while I keep working on it. I am interrupted by a request to help a user log on to a service. The service in question uses their Windows login credentials, and since they are logged into Windows already, I decide to skip a few troubleshooting steps and jump right to remoting into their computer, so I can watch them enter their login credentials. It was fast, but I noticed that the user enters a space after their username before tabbing into the password field. I ask them if they entered a space. They lie. I ask them to try again, and to make sure that they do not accidentally enter a space at the end of their username. It works. I get off the phone and see that I have a voicemail from one of the vendors that I was seeking support from. The vendor and I run some additional tests, and agree that on this server Windows has decided that the C drive is full despite showing that it has 20 gigabytes of free space. Center agrees that that partition has 20 GBs of space, and that the entire disk has 5 terabytes of free space. Believing it is a corrupted Windows file, we begin making multiple attempts to get Windows to perform a disk check or Windows repair in order to restore the corrupted files. We assign more space to the drive. The drive now shows 40 GBs free space, but when attempting to save any test files, Windows continues to report that there is no free space. At this time, my manager walks by and very solemnly asks if he can see me in his office. He knows I am working on restoring service to critical server Y. I think that this must be dreadfully important for him to ask me to postpone what I am currently working on in order to meet with. I place the vendor on hold and enter manager's office. Manager, I cannot save this file to server Y. Me, I know. I am working on it. Manager, okay, thanks. Continued efforts to restore functionality to server Y proved fruitless. We make plans to do an emergency failover that evening to mount the existing unaffected data storage drive to a new server. This will require a significant amount of work to install all the critical applications to the new server, but we are convinced that a new installation of Windows will solve the current issue. I type up my third update email to let the entire organization know that server Y will not be repaired until tomorrow. Just before I hit send, my coworker offers to reboot the guest OS for the 4th time that day. I hold off on hitting send. As Windows begins to boot back up, a message appears on the screen that Windows has detected a corrupted file, and it will attempt to repair it. A couple minutes later, we have a fully functional server Y with 40 GBs of working free space on the C drive. I delete the email I was about to send and instead inform the organization that the server is restored. We still have plans to migrate the applications to a new server, but we will do it in a more controlled manner over a planned weekend instead of rushing to accomplish it in a single night. Impeccable training. 2 stories from my time as a helpdesk tech. First one, a client, Jane Doe, in a completely different state, who thinks that the helpdesk exists solely to support her and her alone. We always dreaded her calls. They were like biting into a cookie expecting it to taste like a cookie, but instead it tastes like black licorice and near breaks your tooth. That was her. Me, thank you for calling the helpdesk, how may I help you? Jane, hi, it's Jane. Me, hi Jane, how can I help? Jane, can you hop into my computer? Start sweating. Whenever I have to go on her computer, it usually ends and I don't know how to fix this, which she usually doesn't take kindly to. Me, okay, no problem. Connect to her computer and see a Word doc open. Jane, do you see this? Me, I see a Word document. Jane, yeah. How do I delete this blank page? Pause. I press the backspace key on my keyboard. Blank page gets deleted. Jane, how'd you do that? Me, I used the backspace key. Jane, well then can you help me with this? She proceeds to have me format her entire 60-page Word doc for her, essentially doing her job. I would have said no, but she was an executive and our department prioritized customer service. So I did it. Took me an hour, and when we were finally finished. Me, okay, I think we're all set. Jane, great. Click. Second story, I had a user call in with email troubles. Me, thanks for calling, how may I help? User's supervisor, HEY. I need you to fix our emails. Me, okay, let me take a look. What's your name? Supervisor, it's not me, it's one of my employees. Me, okay, can you put them on the phone so I can work with them directly? Puts user, John Doe, on the phone. John, hello? Me, hi John, can you explain what's happening with your email? John, what? Me, I was told you're having trouble with your email. John, oh, yeah. How do you send an email? I never did this before. Mute. Face immediately hits my desk, so hard my coworker laughed. Unmute. Me, okay, let's start here. I proceed to show them how to compose and send an email. I will never understand how some of these people are allowed in the workforce.